Claire Evans loved the thrill of the unknown. She found beauty in decay, art in the forgotten. An old Polaroid camera was her weapon of choice, capturing the stories whispered by the walls of abandoned places. Each click of the shutter was a step back in time, freezing a fleeting moment of a forgotten era. One crisp autumn afternoon, Claire stumbled upon a listing for an estate sale. It was the Blackwood Manor, a sprawling Victorian mansion on the outskirts of town. The house had been abandoned for decades, shrouded in local legends and whispers of a tragic past. Claire felt an immediate pull towards it, her photographer's instincts tingling with anticipation. The next morning, Claire packed her photography gear and set off towards Blackwood Manor. The old house stood on a hill, overlooking the town like a watchful sentinel. The air inside the mansion was thick with dust and the smell of damp wood. Despite the unsettling atmosphere, Claire felt a surge of excitement. The house was a treasure trove of forgotten memories. She wandered through the darkened rooms, her camera clicking, capturing the tattered furniture, the cobwebbed chandeliers, and the faded grandeur of a bygone era. Each photograph was a piece of the puzzle, a clue to the life that once filled these empty spaces. As Claire climbed the grand staircase, she noticed a room at the end of the hallway, bathed in an ethereal glow. The afternoon sun streamed through a gap in the boarded-up window, illuminating a magnificent full-length mirror. Its ornate frame was covered in dust, yet the mirror itself remained spotlessly clear. Drawn to its strange allure, Claire raised her camera, framing the shot. She clicked the shutter, capturing the mirror and the reflection of the empty room behind her. That evening, back in her darkroom, Claire eagerly began developing the day's photographs. The photos were haunting, beautiful, and filled with the melancholic charm of Blackwood Manor. But as her eyes fell on the photograph of the mirror, her blood ran cold. Standing in the reflection of the mirror, partially obscured by the dust-covered frame, was a figure. It was tall and gaunt, with long, shadowy fingers that seemed to reach out from the photograph. The figure wasn't clear, more like a smudge of darkness against the reflection of the empty room. But it was undoubtedly there, something that Claire was sure hadn't been present when she took the picture. A wave of goosebumps erupted over Claire's skin. She held the photograph closer, her heart pounding in her chest. She examined every detail of the image, the dust motes dancing in the sunlight, the reflection of the empty room, and the undeniable presence of the shadowy figure in the mirror. There was no logical explanation. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through Claire's initial shock. Driven by a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity, Claire delved into the history of Blackwood Manor. She scoured local archives, libraries and historical societies, piecing together the story of the house and its former occupants. She learned that the mansion was built in the late 1800s by a wealthy businessman named Jonathan Blackwell. Local legends whispered of a tragic fire that consumed the mansion, claiming the lives of the entire Blackwell family. As Claire dug deeper, she discovered a newspaper article from 1899 detailing the disappearance of the entire Blackwell family. The article mentioned strange occurrences in the days leading up to their vanishing, including unexplained noises, cold spots, and sightings of a shadowy figure within the mansion. The police had investigated, but the case went cold, the mystery of the Blackwell family remaining unsolved. Claire felt a chill run down her spine as she connected the dots. The shadowy figure in her photograph, the legends of a haunting presence, and the unsolved disappearance of the Blackwell family. It was clear that Blackwood Manor held dark secrets, secrets that she was determined to uncover. Determined to uncover the truth, Claire returned to Blackwood Manor. The old house seemed to stand taller, more menacing in the daylight. She stepped inside, her camera bag slung over her shoulder, her heart pounding in her chest. She made her way to the room with the mirror, drawn by an invisible force. The mirror seemed to gleam even brighter than before, its surface reflecting the faintest glimmer of light. Claire stood before it, her breath catching in her throat. The room was silent, yet she could feel a presence, cold and watchful, observing her every move. As she reached out to touch the cold glass, her fingers brushed against something hidden behind the ornate frame. It was a small, leather-bound diary, tucked away behind the mirror as if hidden from prying eyes. The diary's pages were brittle with age, the ink faded but still legible. With trembling hands, Claire opened the diary and began to read. The words, penned in an elegant hand, chronicled the last days of the Blackwell family, told from the perspective of Jonathan Blackwell's wife, Eleanor. Eleanor wrote of strange occurrences, of cold spots in the house, and of a shadowy figure that haunted her dreams. She wrote of her husband's growing paranoia, his belief that something evil had invaded their home. Claire closed the diary, her heart pounding in her chest. She finally understood the tragedy that had unfolded within Blackwood Manor's walls. Jonathan Blackwell, driven mad by grief and fear, had dragged his family into the mirror, believing it to be their only salvation. They were trapped, their souls bound to the mirror's surface, forever seeking release. As this realization washed over her, Claire heard a soft whisper, barely audible above the creaking of the old house. It seemed to emanate from the mirror itself, a chilling, mournful sound that sent shivers down her spine. "Help us," the voice whispered, faint and desperate. "Free us from this prison." Claire, though terrified, felt a surge of compassion for the trapped souls. She knew she had to do something to help them find peace. "Show the world our story," it urged. Claire took a deep breath, steeling herself for the task ahead. She raised her camera, aiming it at the mirror. As she gazed through the viewfinder, she could see the shadowy figures of the Blackwell family, their faces etched with a mixture of sadness and hope. With a steady hand, Claire pressed the shutter button, capturing their image, their plea for freedom. The photograph, developed later that night, showed the mirror, its surface reflecting the empty room. But this time, there was no mistaking the figures trapped within its depths. Claire knew what she had to do. She published the photograph, along with her account of the chilling events at Blackwood Manor, ensuring that their tragedy would never be forgotten. As for Claire, she continued to explore abandoned places, her camera capturing the stories whispered by the walls. But she never again returned to Blackwood Manor, forever haunted by the chilling truth she had uncovered within its walls.